by Bowerland Family Foundation, LaGrange International Airport at Whitewater High School. That's Ferrodermis. First two teams on the Red Alliance from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, Hextra Hounds, and from Oak Creek, Wisconsin at Oak Creek High School, sponsored by Emerson, Regal Rexnord. That is Roundtable Robotics. We are RTR.
What we're going to be doing here.
All right, let's meet the teams on the Blue Alliance, starting out with another number 2 robot. It's Team 9993.
They're from Appleton, Wisconsin, newer Apple Core Robotics.
Their alliance partner, Team 5096.
Representing Germantown, Wisconsin at Germantown High School, sponsored by GE Healthcare and Rockwell Automation, the Teutonic Force.
And rounding out this Blue Alliance, it's Team 6643.
They're out of Racine, Wisconsin, sponsored by Baxter and Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction at Walden 3 High School, Walnuts and Bolts.
All right, drivers behind the line. This match begins in 3, 2, 1. All right. This match begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to Reefscape here at MROC. Checking out the Auton on the Red Alliance. Two robots raised up high, 6574. That's Ferrodermis for the Red Alliance, picking up that Auton Coral. 2 out of 3 robots on the Red Alliance do leave that Auton line, but it looks like no RP so far here in match 1. Auton over, Teleop begins. First robot to a loading station. Picking up some coral is Roundtable Robotics. We are RTR, 1792 from Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Their first drop falls a little bit short down to the playing field floor. Checking out score so far, Red Alliance advantage. It is 20-6, all thanks to that coral that got placed in Auton, thanks to Ferrodermis. First algae on the move in this match is blue. That's coming from newer Apple Core Robotics. They line up right in front of the Blue Alliance net. It looks like that robot might have to launch. I don't see an extension on that arm, so we'll see if they'll be able to get the velocity they need out of those wheels to get that algae up to the Blue Alliance net. Minute and a half remaining in this match. Interesting configuration for that Blue Alliance barge zone. We do see one of those cages in that high position, worth fewer points in the end game, but is a little bit easier for robots to cross through their barge zone, possibly to play some defense on the opposite side of the field. More algae on the move coming from newer Apple Core, while their alliance partner Walnuts and Bolts scores on L4 for the Blue Alliance up on that top coral. Other member of the Blue Alliance, Teutonic Force, hanging out in their loading station. Coral tumbles to the playing field floor. Human player making sure they can line up perfectly to get that coral into the compliant wheel intake of the Teutonic Force. Under 1 minute of match play remaining now, Red Alliance leads 56-18. Over on the red side of the field, it does look like a little bit of trouble for Ferrodermis. Ferrodermis has their arm extended up high, but they might be wedged up against one of the branches of that reef. Their alliance partner, RTR, looks for some coral of their own and gives a nudge now to their alliance partner. Ferrodermis still a little bit stuck, while Hextra Hounds try to intake some algae and drop off some coral onto the red reef. That sonar ping sounds. Final 20 seconds of the match now underway. Still a Red Alliance lead, but with 12 points per deep cage climb, we could possibly see a bit of a swing, and newer Apple Core now get that algae launch up into the blue net in the final 3, 2, 1.
Is it possible to switch the
Final results for that first match. Taking the screen now. Our first map goes to the Red Alliance. Final result of 60-38. Red Alliance taking home the 3 RP for winning that match.
Welcome back to the first MROC live desk. I'm happy to get back here again for second year. Dan, how's the desk feel?
It's pretty interesting. This is my first time being on a live stream like this, so it should be a fun day. I've done a lot of volunteering at various events, which I definitely encourage everybody to do. I've been MC, referee, all sorts of different roles, and this is a fun new one.
So, give everyone in-house and online a little bit of what we'll be doing. Basically just breaking down matches, seeing what teams are adjusting to who they're playing with and who they're playing against, and kind of giving you that little bit more insight into how that match went and what the decisions they made.
And once again, if you would like to be interviewed and want to show off some of the things your teams are doing, we've got sign-up sheets, and you can sign up for a time slot to come tell us, and we'll talk you through.
So we were saying earlier, we do have 24 great teams here at MROC. We do have 1 new rookie team for next year, and we have 3 teams that brought their second, maybe a practice robot, maybe a developmental robot for the upcoming year, or for the past year of getting more students involved. Maybe like a summer project, maybe it was a practice robot for those initial early concept designs to kind of work out. But we did see 2 of those in that last match. We had 9993, so new Apple Core 93's second robot, and then also 9997, 3197. I see what we're all doing here with all those matching numbers between those 99999 and that. So that's going to be a mouthful this weekend.
Indeed, indeed. It's a great opportunity for those teams to get a little bit of practice under their belt at one of these off-season tournaments before their real season begins.
So, I think the field's ready, and we're tossing back.
All righty, let's see it.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Let's introduce the teams for qualification match number 2. Starting on the red side, making the longest drive today, it's team 2171.
They're from Crown Point, Indiana, sponsored by Dennis Hilberger Base Solutions. They're at Crown Point High School, RoboDogs.
And joining them is team 6381.
Out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin at North High School, sponsored by Kohler, Volrath, and Millipore Sigma, Red Raider Robotics.
All right, look up successful FRC in the dictionary and you'll see team 3197.
They're at Cedarburg High School in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, sponsored by Boeing and Master Printwear Hex Hounds.
All right, moving on to the Blue Alliance, we're going to start things off with team 9994.
Out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, better name later.
And their alliance partners, team 6421.
They're out of Muskego, Wisconsin at Muskego High School, sponsored by Material Control Solutions and Regal Rexnord Warrior Bots.
And rounding out this Blue Alliance, we got team 1675.
Out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, representing several area schools, sponsored by Regal Rexnord and Rockwell Automation, UPS Ultimate Protection Squad.
All right, match 2 begins in 3, 2, 1, go!
Robots on the move. It looks like we might have the first opportunity at the auto ranking point. Red Alliance is going to lock that up as long as nobody returns to that auto starting line. Same could be said for the Blue Alliance, thanks to the coral placed in Auton. That's coming from Warrior Bots as time runs out. Drivers in control here for the remainder of qualification match number 2. All tied up coming out of auto. 1 Coral on L4 and all robots picking up 2 points for leaving that starting line. That means that auto RP in play for both alliances here, helping them out early in our qualification matches to get them up in those rankings. Raising their arm up now is Muskogeo's Warrior Bots down on the blue side of the field, while their alliance partner UPS picks up from their Coral station. They're lining up just right, communicating with their drive team and their human player to make sure that Coral gets from their intake into their elevator. We hear a little bit of hesitation, possibly a bit of locking up mechanically for UPS. Let's see how they recover, but shift our focus over to the red side of the field where Red Raider Robotics intakes Coral from their human player. Same human player drops one off for RoboDogs as well. Red Raider looking at L2. That Coral falls to the floor. RoboDogs out of Indiana joining us this weekend, also lined up on L2. RoboDogs try to deploy that Coral, also finding its home down on the carpet for the Red Alliance. Just about 1 minute of match play remaining. Red is in the lead, 58-25. No algae up in those nets, nor processed so far here in this match. We've still got robots making sure they can do the base components of Reefscape here. Right now, 63-81 Red Raider. Scores now on L2. We see RoboDogs trying to remove some algae from that reef, giving them room to raise their elevator up to L3, looking for those points for the Red Alliance. Final 30 seconds of the match coming up. Red Alliance leads by 24 points, but we can still swing either way based on the climbs that we're going to see in that barge zone at the conclusion of this match. 2 blue robots awfully close to that barge zone right as the sonar ping sounds. We have Warrior Bots and their alliance partner, Better Name Later, both make contact with a deep cage. First one looking like applying the torque they need is Better Name Later. Warrior Bots also in contact with theirs. 3 blue robots in their barge zone. Warrior Bots slip off of their deep cage. Hexhounds also grab onto theirs. For a moment, they fell down toward the carpet. They do now just barely dangle above that playing field floor. We'll check out that final score in just a moment here for match 2. Final results of qualification match number 2 take the screen now. That's another win here for the Red Alliance. 107-60. Red Alliance takes the win, the 3 RP for that win, and all 3 bonus RP. Both alliances did pick up the auto ranking point in match 2.
Yeah, I was watching that match and I saw some really great teamwork going on from the Red Alliance over there. You had 3197 just cranking out some of the Coral on those lower ranks, while some of their teammates on the other side were putting them up onto the higher one, and they were just kind of working around in a circle around that tower. There's some really great teamwork there going on for such an early qualifications match.
But kind of big thing for this year, they weren't placing them all on just the top level. They were trying to go for that rank point, and it obviously showed in the end score. They were going for those pieces on all 4 levels. They didn't have competition, so they had to get to all 4 levels of L4, L3, L2, and L1.
Yep. Both teams came out of the gate with the same amount of points, getting out of that starting line with their algae out of the way. So we came out of the autonomous period there with both teams kind of in the same place. So it really came down to that tele-op period and then that end game where they were all trying to do their hanging. It looked like both teams attempted to hang.
Yeah, no, it's definitely with this aspect of you did get one from the Red Alliance for that rank point, but big thing for this year is 3-on-3 offense. So maybe a little later we'll see some defense being called out to kind of, hey, on those higher level teams you're gonna get some defense because they can go and slow you down more and reduce your number of points that you score compared to what they're able to add to their own team's score, kind of bring it a little bit closer to the same point.
I'm sure we'll see more of that throughout the tournament and later on in the day as teams get closer to their final elimination matches and want to boost their ranking points before the selections.
Awesome. Well, it looks like the field's getting ready. There's a couple teams still on the field, but they're getting pretty close. We're going to toss it back over there.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Let's meet the teams for qualification match number 3 on the red side. We're going to start it off with team 1259.
From Pewaukee, Wisconsin, sponsored by Dave and Barb Erickson, Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. From Pewaukee High School, Paradigm Shift.
Joining them is team 1732.
They're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Divine Savior Holy Angels and Marquette University High School, sponsored by Regal Rexnord and Rockwell Automation, Hilltopper Robotics.
And rounding out this Red Alliance, we got team 3596.
They're out of South Milwaukee, Wisconsin at South Milwaukee High School, sponsored by Caterpillar and Leidos, Rocket Robotics.
On the blue side, we're going to start things off with team 8701.
They're from Greendale High School in Greendale, Wisconsin, sponsored by H&M Machine and the Gene Haas Foundation, Graffiti.
Joining them is team 706.
Out of Heartland, Wisconsin at Arrowhead High School, sponsored by Revitech and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Cyberhawks.
And completing this blue alliance, it's team 1091.
They're from Hartford, Wisconsin at Hartford High School, sponsored by the Bradley Corporation and Mance Automation, Oriole Assault.
You dropped my... All right, drivers behind the line. Match 3 begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
Auton kicks off for qualification match number 3. All 3 blue robots exit that starting line, so all they need is 1 coral to get scored during autonomous. And it looks like, even though Oriole Assault's coral missed its L4 target, it did land in the trough during Auton. As drivers step forward for the remainder of the match, we had plenty of coral scored up on L4, though, for the Red Alliance, so they've got an early lead. It is 25-12 in favor of Red so far here in match 3. First coral scored up on L4 coming from the Blue Alliance. Looks like it is coming out of the machine from one of those robots, Graffiti, that bright green robot on the Blue Alliance. Other 2 members working hard on the opposite side of that Blue Alliance reef. 3596 Rocket Robotics wearing red this match right in front of where they began. It does look like we have some field staff checking out their control system, hoping that robot can get underway in its movement in the direction it wants to be for the remainder of this match. Meanwhile, their alliance partners, Paradigm and Hilltopper, both of them working quickly on that red reef. Interestingly, so far, we have seen none of our algae getting scored, but it looks like Cyberhawks will be the first to do so here at MROC. Their first attempt through the processor does bounce backward, but they're going to chase it down, try again. While we have seen algae up in that net, we just saw a red robot pick up 4 quick points. Cyberhawks is looking for 6, passing through the processor toward a human player from Rocket Robotics. Rocket Robotics tosses that algae up, getting 4 points for the Red Alliance. Final minute of match play underway. Red Alliance in the lead by just over 10 points here. Still, either way, this match could swing. A algae gets tossed up from Hilltopper Robotics while their alliance partner Paradigm raises their elevator, taking aim at L4, maximizing that point potential here for the Red Alliance. They finished up 2 levels of that reef. It looks like they might not be able to get all 4 on their own, but they do have credit for 3 at the moment. That trough, though, plenty difficult for these robots to get that coral into with just 20 seconds remaining. Oriole Assault, the first to make contact with the Blue Alliance barge zone cages. They're going to lock in 12 points for that Blue Alliance. Cyberhawks looks for some algae in the net and might try to grab a last-moment park here for the Blue Alliance, but Oriole does slip off of the cage and fall down to the playing field floor. So they settle for a park here alongside their alliance partner in match number 3. Final result for match 3 takes the screen now. That match going to the... We're summoning the score down here on the floor. All right, team, I have the score in front of me as long as I'm looking at the right match on my report. Match 3 goes to the Red Alliance, score of 136 to 82.
All right, it's time to meet your qualification match for competitors, starting with team 9999.
They're out of Edgewood, Wisconsin, an upcoming rookie team. That's Cutting Edge 1881.
Joining them is your hosts, team 930.
From right here in Mukwonago, Wisconsin at Mukwonago High School, sponsored by Komatsu Mining Corp. and Traffic and Parking Control Co., Mukwonago Bears.
And rounding out this Red Alliance, it's team 8744.
They're from Eau Claire, Wisconsin at Pablo Center at the Confluence, sponsored by XL Energy Foundation and Union Pacific Foundation, Leviathans.
Your Blue Alliance is going to start with team 2202.
Representing Brookfield, Wisconsin at Brookfield East and Central High School, sponsored by Rockwell Automation and Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, Beast Robotics.
And their alliance partner, team 4531.
From Two Rivers, Wisconsin at Two Rivers High School, sponsored by Lakeshore First Robotics, Steampunk.
And rounding out this Blue Alliance, it's team 93.
They're out of Appleton, Wisconsin at Appleton High School, sponsored by Plexus Corp and IBI, New Apple Core.
All right, teams, we are going to pause for a moment while we reset some critical systems. So if you want to go ahead and come back on the field, we're going to reopen the field if you need to power down your robots. But we are going to take a moment of time out here to reset some critical equipment on the field.